appreciate everybody coming out tonight. My name's Bellucci, and I'm with Commonwealth Engineers. We're helping the town on their ongoing water utility improvements projects. And, the reason you folks are here tonight is because everybody got one of these letters, right?
Yes.
Should have.
Can't find it, yes.
Or if you didn't get one, your neighbor did, and they told you to come. I guess is the reason. So, a little bit of history for you guys. These letters weren't something that the town schemed up, okay? This isn't something money-making scheme that the town's doing. This is the whole reason that we're going through this process is because the EPA has mandated it on the federal level, and the state of Indiana has basically adopted the EPA stance, okay? And they've been, a lot of you guys have this timeline. You picked them up. I have extras. I got all kinds of stuff to send home with you guys tonight. But I'm gonna let you guys just pass them down. If you already have one, just keep passing them. But this is kind of a timeline of the history of what the federal government refers to as the lead and copper rule. And this thing has been somebody's birthchild, I guess, for lack of a better term, since the early 90s. Okay? And you can, once you have a copy of this, you can see it started developing in 1991, and it took until 2022 for them to finalize it. And the ultimate goal here is, they recognize that lead and water is a bad thing. They recognize that a lot of communities like Lapel, all over the country, your water infrastructure is old. It was built 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And back then, sometimes lead pipes were used, right? They used cast iron, they used lead. It wasn't until the mid-1980s where they got smart and they stopped doing that with new construction. So for those of you here, if you know for a fact that you're living in a building or a home or an apartment that was built after 1986, you can be fairly confident that, at least on the interior plumbing of your house, you don't have to worry about that because that's when they stopped doing it. If you're in an older home, you may or may not. We don't know. Okay, so there were those letters that I was showing you guys that you all received. There were 3 versions that the federal government mandated that the towns send out to you guys. There's a version that says, we know you got lead either on your side of your water meter or on our side, our being the town side of the water meter. Or you've got galvanized service line plumbing on your side of the water meter or on the town side of the water meter. Or you might have got a letter that says, we don't know for sure, it may or may not be, okay? And the town was required to put together an inventory of all their customers and submit it to the state of Indiana, and that was due back in October. And that inventory can be assembled to varying degrees of sophistication, but generally when they're put together, it's done on a records-based search plus kind of institutional knowledge from the utility staff and the utility folks and other folks within the community. So the town assembled their inventory of all their customers, and they identified either what they knew was in the ground from the water main up to the meter, from the meter to the dwellings, and they documented it. Yeah, we know this is galvanized, or yeah, we know this is plastic because we worked on it, or we replaced it, or we had to fix the leak at some point in time. Or they marked it as unknown. because some of you folks, you know, they never had to come down your street and work on your water line or your service that comes on. So step one from the town standpoint to stay in the good graces of the state of Indiana was we had to submit an inventory by like October 16th. They did that. Once that was done, the next requirement that was mandated by the state, by the federal government was, okay, you submitted your inventory, now you gotta let everybody know that they're on the inventory and this is how they were characterized, okay? So that was the genesis of the letters that went out. And Teresa, who's in the back there, is probably still cussing me from all the letters she had to put together and stick in the mail to send out to you guys. That's step two, all right? They now checked all those boxes. Step three is now we gotta do something about it. We either gotta verify that, for all you unknowns, you either don't have anything to worry about, or we gotta verify that you're galvanized, but you're downstream of maybe a lead gooseneck, which is the connection that comes off the main, or your lead, and we gotta get it placed, okay? They have until 2037 to get that taken care of, and that's all federal guidance. Fortunately for you folks and everybody else in town, this council and their predecessors had enough forward thinking that when they secured funding for this water project that's been ongoing, and some of you guys are aware, maybe all of you are aware, you know, that we've been replacing water lines. It's been a challenge, but we're in the home stretch now. But when they secured funding for that project, they also secured $2 million from the state to start fixing and replacing service lines, okay? So, what does that mean for everybody that's here? If you're in a residence with an address that's contiguous to these work areas that we're currently working in, you're already gonna be on our list to come in and verify what you got, and if it needs to be replaced, we're gonna replace it. Okay? Once those are done, with the money that we have left, we're gonna start signing other people up that are outside of the project areas, and we're gonna do as many of you guys as we can until we spend all that $2 million. That involves replacing not only the service line from the water main out in the street up to the meter, but also from the meter up to the shutoff at your house, whether that's in the crawl space or garage or wherever that's at. That money is in place to get basically everything replaced from the main up to wherever your shutoff is. It doesn't involve us going in and redoing all the plumbing inside of anybody's houses, but it gets us to the shutoff. Now, if your shutoff is in a basement or behind drywall, there's money budgeted in this current project to repair drywall or do touch-up painting. If your house was grounded to a metal water line, we've got money budgeted to have an electrician come and reground your house if you are one that we end up replacing with plastic service lines. So all those kind of little nuances that may or may not be thought of in the big picture of things, we've got budget to take care of that. We got the $2 million, and that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna go in and we're gonna fix as many of these as we can until we spend all that, all right? Once we're done, we then go back and report to the state of all the letters that went out, of the different categories. These are the ones that we can now cross off the list. Leading up to that, I've talked to several of you folks already. Many of you have already called our office and talked to some of my engineers, asked questions. Really the first step on our end with everybody that's in the project area first is we want to schedule one-on-one appointments with you guys, okay? And it sounds like I spoke with somebody, we've already started putting out door hangers, so some of you may or may not have seen those. They look like this, okay? And they'll have a phone number on it for you guys to either call us and talk to us and schedule times when you're available. They also have QR codes for those of you that know how to do that. I'm not very good at it. I just tried to show somebody and struggled with it. But there's a way to schedule appointments online if you use the QR code, and it'll give you access to a calendar, and you can pick dates and times that you're available, and we'll schedule around you folks. But the first step is to schedule, and we call them inspections, but the first step is to come basically meet you at your property, talk to you, have you show us where you think your shut-off's at. We'll pop the meter lid, we'll do the inspection and verify what's going in and out of the meter. Sometimes that'll tell us right away what we're dealing with. If it's still an unknown, then the next step will be for us to come back with our contractor and we'll hydro excavate or pothole, the service line on either side of the meter, several feet out, so we can get a better understanding of what truly is coming into your house, okay? If we do that and it turns out that it was copper or plastic, you're good. We don't have to do anything, and we'll go on to the next property. If it's galvanized, we'll recommend you guys sign up and let us go ahead and replace it and put plastic in it, okay?
Can I come into mine tomorrow?
I can give you a phone number to call, and if I can get him up here, I will. He may already have some inspection scheduled, but let's talk before you leave. Leave me your name and number, and I'll send the business card with you, and give us a shout and see if we can't coordinate something. But those are the next steps for everybody, okay? One, I want everybody to understand that the town has funding in place. So I don't want you thinking that you got this letter, oh my goodness, we've got a potential problem here, I'm gonna be out thousands of dollars because I gotta replace my water line. That's not the intent of why these letters went out. The intent is to let you guys know that the town is being proactive. They've already secured a certain amount of funding, and we're gonna go start replacing people's lines that need to be replaced. If you got plastic, we're not gonna mess with it, but we're gonna start replacing as many of these as we can while the funding is still available. Yes.
Does that funding include, like the putback of yards,
Yes,
landscaping?
it does.
Even on the private side?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you asked that, because something else that I would like to send with everybody before you leave is, because the funding has to be spent not only replacing the utility side of your service line, meaning from the meter back to the main, but also on the private side, okay? Which means if you're eligible and we confirm that your service line needs to be replaced through inspection and physical verification, we are gonna be on private property up until we get it replaced all the way to the shutoff. All right, I've got right of entry forms that I'd like to send to everybody.
I got 4 meters under blacktop in the parking lot behind the
Okay,
apartment. If you dig up the blacktop, you're gonna replace that.
we'll put it back. We'll patch it. We'll verify it with, we'll hydro excavate it, try to make as minimal amount of impact as we can. Verify what everything is, right? Once we've got it verified, we'll put it back temporarily until we get in there and replace it. But if it needs to be replaced, they'll cut a trench, they'll replace it, and then we'll come back with asphalt. All that surface restoration's budgeted. But these right of entry forms, consider them like temporary easements. This is what you guys authorized us to get on your property. If we don't have one of these, we're not gonna get on private property, which means we can't get up there and verify and replace your line if it needs to be replaced.
Is there going to be any cost to us as homeowners?
The only cost is what you're already paying on your water.
Okay, so there's not gonna be
There's
any
no
added
additional cost.
How do you know, I haven't seen any digging down where I live on 10th Street, West 10th,
Okay.
okay? But I got a letter.
Right.
So what does that mean for me?
So, before you leave, I brought 2 sets of plans so everybody can look and see what our current project areas are, okay? The customers that are in our current project areas where we're actively replacing mains, those are the ones that we're going to do first. Once those are done, we're then gonna go to the areas that are outside of our current project area. For example, maybe the street that you live on, okay? And if you got one that said unknown, or you got one that said galvanized, and you sign up, then, you know, it's kind of like for those of you that aren't in the project area, it's a first come, first served, right? So I encourage everybody to sign up, because you're the ones that we're gonna come to first.
I did that already.
Okay.
Okay, so I have two questions.
Sure.
The paper that you have that said everybody needs to have that to give permission for them to come onto the property.
Yes.
So people who didn't or wasn't able to make it tonight, is that going to be available at the
When we
town
do the
hall, or
inspections,
they'll bring it
when
with
we
them?
come, when if those folks, if you talk to your neighbors, you talk to other
When they
folks that
schedule
weren't
it,
make it,
provided.
when they schedule the appointment for us to come meet with them and inspect, you know, your service, your plumbing, they're gonna have one of these with them, okay?
Okay.
And they're gonna be prepared to answer questions to those folks, just like I'm here tonight answering questions for you guys. And they're gonna ask, if you wanna participate, we need you to give us consent to come onto your property to replace your service line. If we don't have one of these, we are not going to get on private property.
Okay, and I know you said that like you're saying it's like kind of like a first come, first served type of thing, but is there any kind of deadline to sign up for these replacements? Like, not necessarily until the funding runs out, or do you guys have like a date set in mind where you're like, I'm gonna let people sign up for it anymore?
The state wants us to spend all the money by the end of June,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
We wanna be done before that, if we can.
Okay.
If, I'm not gonna make any promises, but the state has encouraged us, because the funding for this came from the Indiana Finance Authority through their state revolving loan fund program. Their fiscal year starts July 1. All right, so their fiscal year runs July 1 to June 30. So June 30 would be the end of their current fiscal year. They would like for us to have that money spent by then. If they know that all I'm doing at that point is continuing to sign people up, I'm likely gonna get some flexibility. I can't guarantee it. All I can tell you is they want the money spent by the end of June.
Okay.
So, I guess to answer your question, I wanna encourage people to sign
To
up.
sign up
You know,
before.
I recognize maybe we got some snowbirds in the community that may be down south that may not come back till February or March.
Right.
I get it. But we wanna do our best to sign as many people up as we can, so we can build a backlog.
You alluded to a website with a calendar. The QR code just goes to the EPA's website.
Yeah, this is, an example.
Oh, okay.
We have one custom for you guys, okay? I will make sure Teresa has a big bundle of these at town hall. We can try to put it on, do you have a website or is it just Facebook? We can try to put it on the website. Again, I'm not the most technologically advanced guy, so I don't know if the QR code for the town-specific flyer, if you can do it on, if it's a scan on the website, if it allows you to
Yeah, you
access
should
it or
put it on
not.
the website.
But at a minimum, I'll make sure she has a stack of the town version of these door hangers. You should get one, if you're in the project area, you should have one on your door, but I'll make sure she has a stack of those at town hall.
Wait, you just said if you're in the project area, you should get one.
You're gonna
So those
audit-
of us that
you-
are not in the project area, we won't get the door ones yet.
Not at first,
Okay.
okay? Once we get everybody in the project area knocked out, then we're gonna start going in the other areas. We're gonna look for big pockets, right? Because we know the inventory, we know where all the clusters of addresses are. We're gonna start in clusters and start hanging door hangers. If you want, again, if you wanna be proactive, I'll try to get those door hangers up to her yet this week. Stop by town hall, pick one up, go ahead and sign up. I'd rather get you guys on the list now
Yeah.
than have to go chase down.
Sorry.
But
As you can tell, the majority of our community is elderly. As a town resident, my concern for our elderly community is quite large, because a lot of elderly people don't have the funds to subscribe to a newspaper, or they don't partake in internet. So as a town, what can we that is close to each site, that way they don't miss the opportunity for their homes to be fixed, and help them understand that this is covered
Sure.
If they sign up.
if they
Sure.
sign up, just so we can.
That's a great question. How do the water bills go out now? Are they mailed?
Yeah, they're mailed.
Okay. We can probably put a notice, like with the link on the water bills that gets sent out to everybody.
But with that being said, my concern is with the elderly community, how many people are gonna actually click on that link and understand how to utilize that?
If we put a phone number on there, would that be easier for them?
I would
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
yeah, and is there any way that we could like post it in the post office, maybe reach out to the local churches?
Yeah,
That
in case
way we
anything
can
gets
get
lost
this
in there.
word out to help them understand. Or
Absolutely.
maybe have something like at the library during the day to where when it's not bad and at nighttime, you
No,
know
I
what I
get it.
mean?
And-
Just so we don't miss anybody, because
The
there's so
library is
many
a great, the
people.
library is a great idea. Some of the other communities that were actively doing these inspections, these one-on-ones,
Mhm.
a lot of times my folks will have downtime in between meetings and they go to the library, right?
Yeah.
Either because they got internet there and they're doing some other things, but that would be a great place to put up notice, and if the elderly community, maybe they go to the library, or they, you
Or the
know,
post
you guys,
office.
I'm gonna lean on you, everybody here, I'm gonna lean on the town, you know, you tell us where you think it would get the most exposure to these folks. Again, we can put phone numbers on water bills,
Is
and they can call
there,
us.
with the majority of our town folks requiring to have a post office box, is there any way that you guys could create a flyer with the phone number where we stuff that in the post office box?
We can't stuff the.
Well,
the-
but mail it out.
Bulk mail.
I'm just concerned that the elder, cause I know I have an elderly neighbor and she did not understand or know anything about it, and I was talking to her, and actually I talked to her relative, so that was a concern for me, like, if she doesn't understand, there's got to be some other folks in this town
Sure.
that don't understand the process and are very concerned that it's gonna cost them money.
Okay. Well, the biggest takeaway from this is
It's not.
we being the town,
Mhm.
has secured an initial sum of money to get started, right? Are we gonna be able to get everybody done? I don't know yet. Okay,
Right.
we've budgeted X amount of dollars per house, all right? I may not need it all because service lines vary in length. Some of you may need to be grounded, some of you may not need to be grounded, some of you, your shut-off valves are very accessible, some of you may have them in a basement behind drywall, all right? So, it's gonna stretch the dollar, we're gonna stretch the dollar as much as we can until we don't have any dollars to stretch.
Right.
And then we'll reconvene with the town and decide how many do we have left and what do we wanna do for our next steps. But back to your point, I am very open to suggestions, and I will work with Teresa and all you folks as the best way to get those folks that may have limited access either to the internet or whatever, to get them in touch with my folks so we can talk to them direct and schedule times to.
I would even be willing to volunteer my time to like meet up with you and even walk the streets just
That-
to get.
I mean, I'm gonna take you up on it, that'd be
mean,
fantastic.
I will volunteer to go to people's houses
Yeah.
who do not have the access to get out. I've lived here 48 years. I probably have their children and grandchildren, and Girl Scouts, so
That would be
I
fantastic.
will volunteer my time. I will get with Teresa.
Public involvement.
We'll work together.
All those, there's 2 big stacks of business cards, okay? Make sure you guys take those with you, because those are gonna be, if you're gonna go talk to people ahead of even meeting with us, that's what you need to say, hey, call this person, and they will contact you, and, you know, we'll schedule a time to meet. And if we need to coordinate, you know, Teresa, make sure I have their contact
Okay.
information. If you guys have certain folks that are uneasy about meeting directly with us, but maybe want you guys available when they meet with us, I absolutely encourage that, okay?
The other thing is like at the office, I have a
list of the addresses.
That would be
So you don't
awesome.
wanna go to
Yeah.
Joe's house, cause he's got Polly and I already know he has
Yeah,
Polly.
right,
The list
So I
would be
have a
great.
list at the office of the addresses.
That would be very helpful.
So we can go through.
And is there any way that we could prioritize, like the houses right next to where a main has been replaced?
Yes, and, I'm gonna leave that list with Teresa and I'll email it to her tomorrow. But, we've already taken, Teresa, your inventory. Remember the 3 packages of addresses that I sent you with the different classifications? We've already pared them down to what's in the Atlas project area, okay?
Okay.
That way we know, we can cross-reference that list, and I'll email you that list so you can work on it.
Okay, thank you.
So
So I
it'd
know
be
some
nice-
of us have already made phone calls to your offices.
Okay.
How do we know that those were received and we're on the list?
Or
Or do we know that we're on the list?
you should be on the list if you've already contacted us, but, I wanna get,
Well, we have the wrong number. We were given Riley's number, not your other person's number.
Right,
Walker.
because originally that's what Riley
The
said.
card that you gave us
Yeah.
tonight, that's the new one, yeah.
So we need to call the number on the card that we got tonight.
To
Yes.
schedule
Okay.
it.
or send him an email, whatever's easier for you.
So the original one we called is not gonna be of any value?
Not necessarily, because you called him, he would have given it to the gentleman's name that's on the business card.
Okay.
I can, if you don't mind, I didn't put a sign-in sheet tonight, cause I wasn't sure who was coming and who wasn't. I'm gonna leave my notepad on the end of that table. If you don't mind, everybody that's here, before you leave, write your name, your address, and your phone number down, so I know who was here, alright? And I will make sure that every single one of you get a phone call before the end of the week, and you can say, yeah, I've already talked to you, or, we're already scheduled.
Would it be beneficial if when we signed our name, and if we called you, let you know that we called, and then you can re-verify that we did?
You can, absolutely. I'm on the road quite a bit, so
Okay.
the easiest way to get a hold of me is my cell phone, and that's not an Indiana area code for a long story that I'll save for another day. But call the number that's on a business card and you will get a call back. I can promise you that. The other thing, let me say one more thing. The other thing that make sure you take one of these, okay? These trifolds. Again, it's got a QR code on it, but underneath the QR code, there's a web address. This allows you to go online, tell me as much as you know about your property, okay? If you don't know it, don't answer it. If you know it, answer it. But also, it automatically kicks you into an online database where you fill out your address, and it's our database. So if you've gone online and filled it out, I have you, all right? I have your information. I know that you've reached out to us, and if you haven't talked to us yet, you will be getting a phone call to schedule an appointment.
Okay, so, I'm not sure if I'm close to an area where you guys are doing work right now.
Okay?
But I have 2 very young children, like they're both to be under the age of 3. So I have an appointment to test them for lead, cause it was encouraged in the
Sure.
letter that we received.
Okay.
You said that there's going to be like a certain level of like prioritizing certain people. Say I do get the results back and they're like high in lead,
You'll go to the top of
would
the
we
list.
be,
Yeah.
so should we encourage, like, I make posts on social media, so I could encourage other people to make sure that they're doing that, so
Yep.
they get put higher at the list?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And for those of you that may or may not be sure if you're in proximity to where we're doing work, just take a look at these prints before you leave. There's dash boxes around all the streets that we either have already or are currently working. And that'll give you an idea of where the current project is within the town. and whether or not you're in an area where it looks like we've replaced the water main.
Sorry, I have a bunch of questions.
You're fine.
In those letters, does the letter read differently if that house was right by or downstream from an LSL? Or was it just generalized?
So those are general EPA template, notification templates, okay? And there were 3 versions.
Okay.
There was, if the town had already verified for 100% certainty that you got lead either on your side or their side, there was one of those,
Right.
okay? That one of those letters that went out. If it was known that there's galvanized plumbing, either on your side or their side of the meter, that was a version that went out, okay?
And then the unknown.
And then the unknown was just that, unknown. If you didn't get a letter, then we verified that you've got plastic and you don't have anything to worry about.
Were you calling us away else?
No, I
Oh,
just,
okay.
as I see hands go up, I try to get it.
Let's see.
Go ahead, I'm gonna let,
Yeah.
I was wondering what criteria you'll use to make the determination to move outside of the project area? Is it a certain percentage of homes? Is it you stop getting calls for those people in those areas?
what we're gonna focus on, we're gonna focus on areas where we can get a bunch of them knocked out instead of jumping to the far west side of town or the far east side of town. If we can get a street that has a cluster of maybe the unknown letters that went out, and we can get enough people signed up, and it's outside of the project area, those will be the areas that we're gonna focus on, because from the town standpoint, they wanna get as many of these done as they can, so it's much more efficient for our contractor to knock a bunch of them out on the same street than it is to do one, pack everything up, drive to the other side of town, do one, and then come back and do another one. So that's, may not be the best answer that somebody was looking for, but we're gonna try to maximize areas within town.
So you said the types of excavation would be hydrovac and pothole. With pothole, let's say that there are no galvanized or LSLs, but with pothole, how can you ensure that the unions do not have any of those factors that need to be replaced?
What we're looking, the potholing and the hydro excavating are one and the same.
Well, I mean, with
right, right.
different reasons.
What we're looking for is whether or not it's plastic. And
Right.
if we start potholing or hydro excavating and say it's galvanized, we're gonna keep going, you know, we're gonna expose some joints, we're gonna keep
Right.
going to verify.
But let's say it's not galvanized, how can you ensure, because sometimes lines are put together and they don't have galvanized, but they do have galvanized unions. So how can you ensure that those lines are gonna be fixed or replaced due to the galvanized union?
They're gonna have to do, we're not gonna be able to go and physically open up everything from the meter to the house. That economically, it's just not feasible. But what we will do is we'll do enough exposure of those service lines to make a determination. Yeah, we found either a union, or yeah, we found enough of it to be galvanized that they're gonna qualify to go ahead and be
So
replaced.
then you will excavate until you find a union to verify. Awesome. And then will an on-site inspector be present to review the completion of each home? EPA, IDEM, both, all, none?
There will be an inspector on site. There will be, one of my engineers will come and do the inspection, the initial inspection, the initial meeting. When the contractor mobilizes to start replacing the lines, there will be a third-party inspector there to monitor the construction activities to make sure it's done correctly.
Okay. And then have you guys already, located like the galvanized goosenecks or pigtails that exist within the town, or is that something that still is going on
the ones that we've been able to verify as a part of our water main replacement project, yes, we've identified those.
But not the other
The ones that are outside of the project areas, right now, we're working off the inventory, that's all we can work off of.
Yeah, okay.
The water mains you've already replaced,
Yes, sir.
have you run into any leaded or galvanized lines?
I believe we ran into one gooseneck over by Fuller Street, right off of Hamilton.
The water mains themselves,
The water mains weren't lead. The mains that have been replaced have either been, we call them transite, either asbestos cement pipe or old cast iron mains.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, some of those have lead around them in the paint, is that not accurate?
Which ones?
Either one of, like the last one you said. No, not asbestos.
Cast
The
iron.
cast iron
The cast iron.
wouldn't necessarily have lead. It could, but typically it wouldn't. It would just be a
Okay.
push-on joint. But regardless, when we've replaced those, we've came back and put in, pressure-rated plastic pipe and then tapped everybody's, those services that were connected to those old mains that we replaced have now been tapped over to the new plastic water mains and run up to the meters.
Okay.
so if you ran into a, bad line, not going to be a meter, proactively replace it?
Well, if we hit it and found it while we were putting the main in, we
Right.
repaired it temporarily until we could go back and then tap the main to run the new service to the
Fine,
meter.
fine.
Yes. So the new mains that are in right now and active, all those service reconnections on the utility side have already been completed.
On 14th Street right now, the crews down there working in front of the post office, and right now would be a good time to check this stuff out all around the world.
It's always a good time, but the way the crews are running right now, we're getting all the mains in first, and then we'll come back with service on the crews, go back to the tap. Most likely just because of the holidays. Now, that being said, the contractors indicated and talked about mobilizing, going ahead and mobilizing a dedicated service line crew. So, if it's after the first of the year, it'll be shortly thereafter.
I apologize, what did you say your name was? Rob? Okay, Bellucci. Just a heads up, I called and left messages with Riley, never did call me back.
Okay.
I talked to Teresa, she was a big help, gave me another number. The lady got hold of a Walker Shannon.
That's whose business partner.
Okay, he called me back like a day or two after and told me that they weren't scheduling appointments till next week for our area, but he did call me yesterday morning to set up my appointment, so he did very good at getting back to me.
That's why I brought his car.
So-
He's done this for a couple other communities, so he's,
I'll say, he
Well
did call me
versed.
back and got it all set up, so.
I encourage you guys to take one of those cars and call Walker, and he will get back with you.
I just wanted to, Henry, 104, 105, 106, 108, 110, 112, 114, 116, and 118 are on this list, so they're part of the water project, so they'll automatically be done, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, what about mine? 14, 16, and 14, 18, and up on Main Street, what is that, 115? I can't even remember the numbers. 14, 15, 14, 17.
I don't know that we had any water mains on Main Street, did we, Teresa?
Yeah, the 1323, well, wait, 1312, 1321, 1323, 1520 Main, 1600 Main, 1675 Main, 913 Main, and what was your
What
address?
about where your grandparents used to live?
They're 1415.
14,
They're not on
15,
there.
14.
They're not on there, what was your address for yours?
Mine's
Even if you're
14,
not in the
16,
project
4.
area. Even if you're not in the project area, you get.
You're on there.
You're not on it, you will be on top.
You got 14, 15, Main, 14,
They don't have 14,
17.
16, or 14, 15, that's the only one you'll have, doesn't need
Call
to
Walker.
get on the list
Get
for
an
it.
inspection scheduled, we'll try to
Who do I
coordinate
see, Mayor?
if you want yours done.
Call back, they got it on the card,
But
Walker.
with you being the chosen one, we will get you done.
I don't think,
Okay.
We're in the project, that I'm in the project area.
It's right behind me.
Huh?
It's right behind me
It's behind you?
For those,
at Erie and
might wanna get the.
Yeah, I
water
saw them going
system.
down Erie, but I don't think down
Is
at our end,
there a,
repave the whole road down
list
there.
somewhere? I know where it's at, now.
Unless they go down the alley or something.
Of reasonably cost, price, water testing lab to get it done.
There's a lab over in Chesterfield, Daleville.
I did just reach out to a company called, hold on real quick, I'll pull it up. It's called
Yeah, there's probably 100 of them out there.
Spinner Water Solutions, but they offer two.
It is?
That
That
does,
includes lead.
they just asked me if there was anything specific that I was worried about, and I haven't gotten back to them because I came to the meeting, but I will, if I get that answer, I'll put it on Facebook, but I can
Oh,
try
I'm
to.
on a well system. I spent hundreds of dollars to get my water tested.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I'm just here because I'm part of the community. I wanna know what's going on.
There are labs.
I went to Lowe's and purchased one for
I started saying,
$29.
they have home test kits
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I did one from Lowe's for $29.
That'll be a lot cheaper than going to any lab.
See, and there's, you know.
Because the lab, the thing about the lab is you gotta pull the sample just right and not contaminate the sample and drop it off, and there's gotta be a chain of custody.
Yes, most of
there's a
your
lot.
lead comes from contact time.
Yes.
And if you're flowing a lot of water, it doesn't matter whether your pipes have lead in or not, you're not gonna see it.
And
Gotta sit there and collect.
I-
So,
I don't wanna get too far ahead, but there are gonna be also instructions that you're gonna be given when we do replace your lines, alright? You're gonna let it run, we're gonna turn the outside spigots on, we're gonna let it run for a little bit. You'll also be provided with one of those Brita filters, the pitcher filters, that has a 6-month cartridge, alright? You will get one of those when we replace your service line. to
The
use.
pitcher too, or just a filter?
Both.
Okay.
The pitcher and the filter. And I don't remember if if they call it a 6-month filter, but you're gonna get 6 months worth of filters, whether that's I don't know how they got that. But you will get a pitcher that has a filter in it to keep in your fridge.
And that's because the EPA requires 6 months for each line that's been replaced to have a filter, and then it has to, is it 42 and 39 NFR?
I forget the exact regulation, but yes, it's it meets the EPA standard.
Okay.
And what we provide you, it'll be stamped right on the box.
Right.
That says
Okay.
meets EPA requirements.
What's the reason for providing it?
Again,
To
it's,
lessen the contamination
Right.
possibility.
So
you're
is
still
there-
gonna have residuals in your indoor plumbing, because we're not coming in and redoing the whole house, all right? We're only doing it up to the shut off, so there still may be some, say your indoor plumbing is okay, but we replaced lead or galvanized that may be lead on the outside. There's still gonna be residuals in your interior plumbing that needs to wash itself out, so the thought is we're gonna give you, the EPA wants us to give you a filter for 6 months to make sure everything's washed through on the
Oh, okay,
interior.
so not necessarily there's gonna be like other contaminants, just like the lead.
We're making sure we get it all out,
Okay.
get it all out.
Okay, sorry, I just didn't understand.
So a couple other questions I had was, what method will you be using to reinstall? Are you gonna go trenchless pull, or are you gonna do the bore?
It depends on how long the service line is, because there's limitations if we go trenchless or directional drill it.
Right.
I wanna say it's gotta be at least 50 feet just
Right.
for the rig to work.
Right.
So if it's less than 50 feet from the meter to your house, we're gonna use like a ditch witch and trench it.
Trench it.
Leave, that wide.
If you bore, how can we ensure that lead will not leach into the ground if you leave the existing there?
it's already there.
Yeah, it's,
True, very true.
um,
That was my concern, was disturbing it, like, is there a way to, in the future, market within the town to where the town knows, hey, there was existing possible.
they're gonna have as-bills from this project.
Okay.
That will very clearly identify each property where we went in and replaced a service line.
Okay.
So they're gonna have a set of plans when it's all said and done,
Okay.
that said, we did this project back in 2023, 2024, 2025,
Document.
and we replaced all these service lines on all these properties. So they will know which addresses were done as a part of this project.
Okay.
So they won't necessarily be removing all of the old ones.
If it's a situation where we are not able to drill it and minimize disruption to the yard and you gotta trench it in, we're gonna have guys that, they'll put locators on the water meters and try to trace the line, so we generally know where it's at. And we'll try to put the new one in right next to it, so we don't have. But you'll know where your line is.
And
You'll
get your
go in
neighbors
your place, you're gonna know where.
And get your neighbors on the list that they gotta move after.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't even know if I got one. She's gonna list you now. I had to call up there and I said, yeah, you got one. I don't remember. I don't know what I got.
If you have a sidewalk and/or a patio, or
We've got allowance items for restoration to fix those things. Now, sidewalks are easy, cause that's concrete. If it's a nice porch or patio, we're gonna probably do those on a case-by-case basis. Get with the property owners. If you have somebody that you hired to build it and you want that person to fix it, then we'll work something out to get those guys out to fix it. But we have money to deal with that kind of stuff.
Mine's in my concrete drive.
Of course,
It is, I know it is.
we're not gonna remove the old lines if we replace them. We're just gonna abandon them in place. But what we're gonna have to figure out is where's your meter, where's your shut off, and what is the best way to get from point A to point B. And ideally, it's not going underneath your driveway. If it is, and we tear up part of the driveway, we'll have to fix it.
Not a good way to get to it any other way.
I understand. I mean, there's nothing, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about how they built it before. But we'll do our best to accommodate and make it look like it did before we ever showed up when we're done.
So I was recently told that, there's a project underway as well to replace water meters in town. Will they be coordinating that with the service line replacement?
We're not doing meters.
Right, the town's doing those. I didn't know if you would know that or if that was a utility question, but
Teresa, are you guys replacing water meters? I
For the
wasn't.
houses that
well,
We're not doing any meters as a part of this project.
yeah, I was asking if they were gonna coordinate that, so when Mike came out last week, she told me that they were replacing all the meters in town.
We do a percentage every year.
The,
I think we buy, I think we get 12 meters a month.
Yeah, that's-
So 144 meters a year, it's part of the process.
the water, so, different topic, they have to do a water loss audit every 2 years, and one of the recommendations is they get on a cycle so that it's either after every 5 years or every 10 years you get a new meter, and it's for accuracy purposes more than anything else. So they're already actively doing that, but just replacing the meters isn't necessarily gonna tell us what the rest of the service line material is because of the way the meter
No, right, I just
setters
didn't know
are.
if they were gonna do that in the process, as a part of the process of development.
I mean, depending on when they're scheduled to do it in 2025, there may be some overlap, I don't know yet.
Sorry, I told you I love
My favorite customer.
Right? So, with the new lines, what is the standard for materials for this project? And let's say like the old existing line's 2 inches, is the new PET, or I'm assuming you're gonna use PET, right?
HDPE,
Yeah,
it's poly.
right, okay.
Whatever the old line size is, the new line will be the same size.
Even if it's the 2 inch, you don't go up to the standard,
We'll put it back as it was.
okay,
Not gonna reuse here.
right.
I don't think we need to.
I agree. Yeah. Hey,
That'd be triple over.
If it's replaced with poly, it's gonna be replaced with the blank size.
Okay.
What other questions can I answer? I'm sure everybody,
I just wanna know whether I'm in or
I
not.
think you do a great
You guys make it easy by asking all the questions.
I have one more. So if upon the inspection of our water lines and they're deemed okay, where can we obtain a written statement that my home does not need lead service lines or unions anywhere? Just to, like if we go to resell, or just for our own personal records?
We'll have photo documentation just from the inspections and the potholing and the physical verification. So in those situations where you may have received a letter because you were deemed unknown, but upon physical verification, we've determined that you're okay and nothing needs to be done, we'll treat those on a case-by-case basis, and I'll work with the town, and we can get some kind of standard letter from the town that says, because we'll have the date of the inspection, we'll have photographs to verify what was determined, and Teresa, we'll work with you to create some form letter that says your property was inspected on date such and such for purposes of this project, and it was determined that this was your existing service line material. Here's a photograph, and it was deemed not needed to be.
Wonderful. Awesome.
Quick question. I'm in a current project zone right now. The crew is like waist deep in my front yard when I left the house.
Great.
So if I get on this list and they deem me not necessary to replace, from the water main to like the rest of my, shut off?
It's already gonna be replaced from the main to the meter.
Right.
Regardless of what you, even if you're copper or plastic.
Yeah.
Because we gotta switch you over to the new main.
Right.
But if they deem that you're okay on your side of the meter, then
I was just asking, like, since my yard is a little torn up, and it's not even my sidewalk, I know a lot of my neighbors have their sidewalk torn up, is there money in the budget to get
we'll
like a
fix it.
little grass seed?
We're gonna fix that. We're not gonna plant grass seed
No,
right now.
obviously not right now.
But we'll get it rough, once we're done, like in that area, we'll rough grade it out, put some straw down to prevent erosion until we can get back in the spring and actually put some seed in.
They run in, they replace the line up to the meter.
If we're putting a new main in, that service from the main to the meter's already, it's gonna get replaced.
Right, but as you get to that meter, you notice that the other side meets the criteria, that's already going on the list, right?
As long as the property owner signs up.
No, I mean, not to get done, just that it.
They'll be on the
It
list
meets the
as, they'll be on the list as verified, physically verified. But if I don't get consent from the homeowner to get on the
Oh,
property
yeah.
and fix it, then I can't do anything about it.
Well, I assume that if you've identified it as a need,
Yes,
that there will be a follow-up.
absolutely.
If the customer hasn't.
Well, like I said, everybody in the project
Respond.
area is gonna get contacted.
Okay.
It's up to them to willingly want to sign up.
Uh-huh.
And I've
Pretty
done
good.
enough of these where people don't want us messing with their property. I get it.
Yeah.
But
Aye.
just know that everybody here sounds like let's get this done. Maybe you're not, but I can tell you this, if we verify that you need to be replaced and you don't sign up, or if we just haven't been able to get to you because we've used up our $2 million, the town is required to send these letters out every year. So you're gonna keep getting letters from us.
Sooner or later, someone's gonna send you a letter to tell
In
you.
10
"Here's
years,
a bill
in-
to get your line replaced.
In 10
So-
years, the letters, well, this first batch, if you don't sign up, you're gonna get a follow-up letter that says, we've got money to do this for you. If we run out of money, we can't pay to do it, you're gonna have to do it yourself.
Right.
That
You
usually
do a
gets
whole lot more
their attention, but again, some people don't want you messing around with their property.
So if we're in the new main area that's being put in, we still need to contact and get put on the list?
If you don't, you're gonna get a door hanger. Okay, if you wanna go ahead and reach out to us and get signed up, I encourage you to do that. If you don't, if you get, we're all busy, especially this time of year. if you're in the project area and you haven't already contacted us, you're gonna get one of those door hangers that I was talking about. And that allows you to get access to an online calendar, and you can make your own appointment.
Do you have a general, like from the time of inspection, well, in my case, since I'm the one that has lead, like from the day they come for the inspection and then setting up the appointment, like what's the, are you talking a week, a couple weeks, a
It
month?
could be,
a couple months?
it could be a week, it shouldn't be any longer than 2 to 3 weeks after.
Okay,
Because what we're trying to do,
cause I'm
is-
not in the project area.
right, but you were the chosen
But
one.
I'm the chosen one,
Right.
yes,
So
okay,
we're gonna get you taken care of.
okay.
But for the other folks that are in the project area, we're gonna try to stay